Welcome to Shape the Podcast, a podcast all about maintaining mental health by sharing stories from those who have overcome negative experiences and feelings, then turned them into something positive. Meet your host.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Shape the Podcast. You know me. You've dealt with me now for almost 2 years. I'm Kyle Waller. I'm one of the hosts. And on my other side of the camera, who we got there? Who is this young fella without the mustache again?
I got that ugly nobody loves a whaler look going on right now. So. Yeah,
So
you know me.
The original Jason Soul. How have you been, sir? I know we just saw each other this past weekend, but let's talk.
It's been what, a whole 5 days?
It has been, yeah. and then before that, it was like 2 weeks prior because we didn't do a podcast 2 weeks ago. We took the night off because we just had busy lives. But let's talk about what happened down there in West Virginia real quick before we bring on our guests.
Great time as always, Chris.
Yeah.
You do a great show, a great event. Man, oh man. Appalachian Bearded Feud 4. This show was excellent.
Yeah.
Great old friend from last year and new friends from this year.
Yeah, a lot of interesting things went down in West Virginia. Those of you who know, you know. But yeah, I thought it was a great event. You know, I thought one thing that we did, in which I want people to go look at on our Shape the Podcast page, and also it's on Lucky Boy's page, is that we got to talk to Concord University. We got to talk to them and their GAP program. So I thought that was very awesome. I would like to do that, you know, if we're ever at events to where we can talk to charities like that. I think that'd be awesome.
Unfortunately, the audio isn't great, but it's up there. So go take a look, guys, please.
Yeah, there's a lot of background noise, but the purpose of the podcast or that interview itself, it came across. So, what is up? Oh, Dino, what's going on, sir? I see. Oh, Dino Living Life channel's on. Well, welcome, sir.
Nice.
Yeah. Thanks for watching. Yeah, so Gent was a great time. It was also my one of my last competitions that I'll ever do. Worlds is going to be my last competition competing.
I saw that on Facebook.
I know.
What was the catalyst to that decision?
And a lot of people have asked why I'm stepping away from competing. It's just because what's going on, Brian? Charms, how are you, sir? It's because like I found more enjoyment hanging out, talking to people than I did competing up on stage. I wasn't going to compete because I've competed at that competition every single year, and I've been in the beard competition world since 2014, 2015. And I've competed a lot. And so for me, it's time to just take that step back and focus on other ways to help out the charities, instead of just competing. Like, I had a fun time back here on that back wall with you and your wife and my wife, and then, hanging out with everybody after and beforehand. Money was still given. But yeah, I just decided that after Worlds, I will not be competing at a beard competition, but I will still be going to beard competitions. So yeah, it's it's been over 11 years, and it's just time for me to hang up that hat. Oh, by the way, Jason,
we are the most majestic of the beards.
Yes. And Dino, me and my wife will be at Beard America. I will not be competing. but my wife will be vending there. She has a crochet business called Stitching and Bitching. So everybody, if you go to the Beard America event down in Elizabethtown, Kentucky, coming up at the end of July, my wife will be there vending. But yeah, so just a couple of things real quick that I want to touch on before we get started. I have a friend of mine named Zan. This week, a dear friend of hers unfortunately lost their life due to mental health. I'm not going to go into the details of what happened, but unfortunately, they are no longer with us here on this earthly vessel. I did put on the Shape the Podcast group and on my Facebook page, they have a GoFundMe going to help cover the costs of some of the expenses of this young lady's her funeral expenses, then some travel expenses for her family because it was a sudden thing. The young lady who is no longer with us, her name is Vernia. So just say a prayer for her friends and her family because they're dealing with that. And in regards to that, it is Mental Health Month, and I would just like everybody to know, men and women, that it's okay to talk about your feelings. Right? It's okay to let them be known. It's okay to post them on social media. Okay, and in doing so, you're not hurting anybody. Right? You can still be the head of the household. You can still do what you need to do. Right? You're in no way being a Karen. Because mental health is important. So if you're struggling and you find out that, hey, the only way that I could talk about this is via social media, by all means do it. So that's just one thing I just wanted to touch on because there was something that happened, and I'm not going into much detail about it, but it was very upsetting to a lot of people. But mental health matters. But anyways, how about we bring on a guest tonight, Jason? You ready for it?
Let's do it. Let's do it.
So our guest this evening is somebody that I've been following on Facebook because of his beard oil company. He is the owner, the president, the CFO of SEMO Beard Oil Company out of Southeast Missouri. Tonight's guest is going to be Mr. Michael Sikes. And let's just bring him on and see what he's all about. What's going on, sir? Welcome to the show.
Welcome.
How's it going, gentlemen?
Oh,
welcome.
Look, it's Tad Hardy. What's going on, sir? Oh, Tad, you must be on break at lunch or on work at lunchtime. So, thanks for coming in. So, what's going on, Mike? So, we actually just briefly met tonight for the first time. And I got to hear a little bit of your story, but there are a lot of people out there, I'm sure, that really don't know you, that they know you because of SEMO, but they don't know you for who you are. So if you wouldn't mind, man, just sharing who you are and we'll roll right into it.
Yeah. Recovering alcoholic for, I was in that for 14 years, decided that, it was time to quit. And SEMO kind of helped me with that, and figured since I was in the beard world for a long time, start that up. I'm a little bit of a family guy, even though I don't know my anniversary.
Oh,
I do.
I mean, so
I'll throw myself under the bus on that one.
Why don't we just go ahead and explain that? Because a lot of people are going to be like, well, what's he mean? So, Jason, go ahead and explain that and why Michael said that.
So a couple weeks ago, I'm scrolling through Facebook and I see this post Mike puts up, and it says 52325 is our number. We just got married. And I'm like, oh, that was my 10-year anniversary. So 15 minutes ago, I say to Mike, hey, we have something in common. I said, the date you got married. He goes, oh, what, May 25th? And I was stumped a little bit. I'm like, did I make a mistake? So I let it go. I left it alone. I thought I knew what I saw, but I could be wrong. It happens now and then. So about 5 minutes later, I say, "Hey, Mike, your Facebook post on the 27th says the 23rd." He's like, all of a sudden, the screen goes blank. He's not moving because he's checking the calendar. And to find out, I was right. Listen, I got 10 years on you, so I remember that date.
So yes. Well, Michael Sikes, he admits it now. He had his anniversary wrong. All right. So, why don't you keep it the 23rd? Because and the 25th. That way your wife gets double the anniversary presents.
Yeah, we're gonna celebrate twice.
Yeah.
Just make it a 3-day weekend.
Yeah.
Yeah, that works for me. I mean, that'll keep me, out of the hot water and more into the lukewarm.
Yeah. Well, now you have accountability, because there are not just you and your wife that know your wife knows the wedding anniversary, but we both know your wedding anniversary. Okay, so now we can keep you accountable when it comes to May 23rd next year. Hey, buddy.
I'll give you a warning a week out.
Yeah, a week after. Well, man, yeah. So I appreciate you, wanting to come on and share your story tonight. Let's, you said you dealt with alcoholism. Let's talk about that. Like, at what age did that start? And what made you really decide, hey, enough is enough. It's time to put the plug in the jug, so to speak.
Well, it started in high school around 15 or 16. And, it was really easy to get into that. I don't want to push blame for my actions, but, I was raised around a lot of alcoholics, and, I was just in that scene all of my childhood. So it was just an easy step to take. And then, it just got way out of control for many years. And, I started having really bad mental health issues there toward the end. And I had a couple little breakdowns and whatnot. And, my anxiety started ramping up really, really bad. And I left work one day, and instead of going straight to the gas station to buy more beer, I just, made the left to my driveway, and I just never stopped turning left. I just, every day, just make that same left and just keep on plugging, man. And it's been such a beautiful life since I've given it up.
Yeah. So,
everything,
how long
obviously
has that
my,
how long has it been?
all right, this is a date that I can remember. May 15th was 3 years. This past May 15th was 3 years sober. I appreciate that. It's been awesome. And like whenever we talked briefly earlier, like I said, I actually put a 30-pack in my refrigerator for the first 30 days, just so I could test myself and make sure that, like, I can do it. And after that 30 days, me and my son dumped all of it out, and just been going strong ever since. It's just something that people need to understand, that, like, everybody goes through something or another, and everybody's experiences are way different. Like, some people need the rehab to help. I would not recommend my way of doing it, because it was the absolute worst thing I've ever put myself through.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But I wasn't. I was never one of those people that would admit that I had a problem. I was never an addict. I always referred to myself as an enthusiast.
All right. Well, I am. I'm actually a bourbon enthusiast. Like we talked before the show. Like you said, everybody has their ways of dealing with stuff. But it's awesome that you can see that. Hey, I need to make this change. because here I am. I'm a young father. I have something to live for now. And you were dating your wife. Fixed to be married. So uh, it's awesome that you made that change to decide that you need to do what you needed to do.
Yeah, and honestly, I thought it would be a lot harder to make the decision, but it was easy to decide. It was just hard to stick with for a little bit.
Yeah. So they always say once you get past that 1 year mark, it's all downhill from there, so to speak. But it also like. Did you have anybody accountability wise? You said you did. With your son, you poured it down the drain, which that had to be pretty awesome. But did you have people there to go to like during that time and be like, "Hey, this is what's going on in my mind. This is what's going on in my
head." No, honestly, it was just me and my son. And that was it. Like, and I have him every other week. So like every other week, it was just me.
Wow.
And it was a roller coaster.
And was it you because you did not want to share with somebody else, or was it life was just busy, life just got in the way?
I didn't have many people that I could share with at the time that I was going through everything, because they were all still active in their constant drinking and stuff and partying and stuff like that. And like whenever I'd go to somebody to talk to them about my feelings, they'd tell me to quit being a little, and
quit being a Karen.
Yeah, they just tell me to man up, basically, and just deal with it. Just And I had a lot of people still trying to offer me drinks and stuff like that whenever I go out and about. So I locked myself away from all of those people. And there's very few people that I even let into my life at this point, because the disrespect that people have for sobriety and how a lot of people look down on it.
Yeah, I don't see.
They just don't respect any of it.
I don't think anybody, like at least anybody in my circle, like the people I hang out with, definitely do not look down on sobriety. I hang out with, and I know some badass people in the breeding community that are sober, and you're like, holy shit, you act like that sober? I could never imagine you acting like that when you were out, and so like,
yeah.
so and I'm finding really, as of lately, a lot more people in the breeding community are starting to change over to that sobriety life, So, you're in a community now to where, there might be some people that look it down, but the breeding community as a whole that I know of is quite respectful when it comes to somebody, wanting to make a better change of lifestyle. For
absolutely. The bearded community has been one of the biggest cheerleaders for me through the whole thing. Whenever I started becoming part of the bearded community a few years ago, and stuff like, well, it was after I quit drinking and stuff. Like I didn't even know that the bearded community existed. I knew that beard companies existed, but it wasn't until probably the past 2.5 years that I realized that there was a huge community out there, and that like everybody's just been so welcoming and supportive of the past lives and addiction and stuff like that. And like it's just been phenomenal. I've met like some of my best friends in the world. I met through the bearded community now, and it's just it's really awesome. And you guys are a great help. I love the bearded community and everything that you guys do, and it's just awesome.
Well, this podcast happened because of the bearding community. Really, I mean that's what really made this happen, was a podcast all about bearding. That was Talking Beards. I was watching it one night and I said, I'm gonna start a podcast, but I'm gonna start a podcast on this particular subject. So really, if it wasn't for that particular podcast, this podcast would never existed. And those two guys are part of the breeding community, you know. So,
Mhm.
And
but
if it
yeah,
wasn't for beard competitions, Kyle and I would have never met. We
nope.
met a year ago at Appalachian Bearded Feud
Yeah.
3.
Yeah, so it's but yeah, everybody I know like respectfully respects people who are sober. Now of
Mhm.
course, back when I used to really party and get drunk all the time, I think that was less, but those years have gone by and those years have changed. So, did you ever have like while you were out drinking? Like, did you ever have those wild moments to where you're like, okay, I, I have nothing. I've lost my job. I lost my home. Or were you a functioning, what they call a functioning alcoholic?
At the beginning, I was very much not a functioning alcoholic.
You only
But
functioned when you were drinking. I get it.
yeah, and then toward the end, the last 10 years of it, probably, it didn't matter how hungover I was or how long of a work day I had. As soon as I got off work, I was headed home to get blackout drunk, and
Yeah.
then just started all over the next day. I'd go to work every day. I'd take care of my kid. I'd take care of everything that needed taken care of at home. But you can bet your ass I had a beer in my hand the whole time I was doing it.
You're like, hey, I'm home. I'm in the comfort of my own home. I'm gonna do this. You know.
Yeah.
I mean that's I went through that time in my life to where I was not a functioning alcoholic because I spent most of my time at the bar. Literally, the bar would open up at 6 o'clock in the morning, and it would close at 4 o'clock in the morning. So, and this is the crowd I was hanging out with. We would go there for breakfast, and because they were open from like 6 to 8, 6 to 9 for breakfast, and then they did lunch. So the bar was always open. Well,
Mhm.
So I was not the only time I was functioning was when I was drinking, but it's because I was drinking.
Yeah.
But like we all go like you said, we all have those stories of how we decided to change our lives. And really for me, like you said, the breeding community helps. I have friends that keep me accountable in some things, especially in my life, which I think is great. But it's always like now you have your wife and you have your son, so you have that accountability there, and it had to be pretty awesome past that 30-day mark to sit there with your son and pour that beer down the sink. Like that had to be like a great feeling to say, all right.
It felt amazing.
How old was your son when that happened?
He was 8.
Okay. So he's
Just
old enough
turned 8.
that gotcha. So he's old enough that was an impactful event for him that he'll hopefully remember and learn from.
Yeah, absolutely. And he tells me a lot that he's how grateful he is for me putting it down and being more open to doing things outside of the house and like going on trips and stuff like that, because it was always the first 8 years of his life were basically a blur, and it was all like I was either at work or at home drinking it, where there was no in between.
Yeah.
And he's so thankful that I've turned it all around, and like he really looks up to me. And now that I sit back and look at it, I was like, man, how big of a piece of trash was I back then? Like it makes me feel bad because I can only imagine what that did on his mental health, like coming up and seeing that every day. And then like now it's just been really awesome. And he says all the time that he never wants to touch it. Like he doesn't want to do any drinking or anything like that when he gets older. And I was like, it's probably a good idea, because we have pretty addictive personalities in this family, bud.
Yeah, but I mean, it's also glad that he recognizes that,
Mhm.
like, and for you, it's awesome that you recognized it, because not so many people recognize that they have a problem, you know, um, and
Yeah.
and we all know. Normally, we know what happens there, you know.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we've seen lately suicide is rampant, and it's all because people are afraid to do anything about it because they're afraid people won't listen, or um, they do have that such addictive personality that they do get sober, from drugs or alcohol, or whatever, and they just can't keep it. They can't keep with it.
Yeah.
I, I've seen my fair share because I went through NA and AA at one time in my life, and I saw my fair share of the the first timers, the second timers, coming in, because they just couldn't get it the first time, or they couldn't get the second time or third time. And I'm here to tell everybody right now, um, recovery is a hard thing to do. Any type of recovery is a very hard thing to do. But if you do it the right way, and you're not afraid to talk about it, then you too can recover from anything. It's a if you put your mind to it, I think anything is possible. At least that's my belief.
Yeah,
We
absolutely.
we all can make the choice to, and I might get backlash because some people say that they can't, but I truly believe that we all can make the choice whether or not we want to do right or wrong. You know,
Hmm.
um, and yeah, there are people out there that say that it's a chemical imbalance. Which it could be. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a scientist. I'm not anything like that. But I know that I've seen some amazing human beings go from alcoholics and drug addicts to still being crazy, but crazy sober.
Yeah.
And I think it's all how you manage your life. You know, um, like we talked earlier. I can sit here in my office with a cabinet full of bourbon, vodka, gin, less than 50 feet away, you know, and I can have a drink every now and then, but it's because I know my limits, and I know what happens if I take that past that limit. You know,
Yeah.
I have way too much, like you said. You have way too much to live for now. I have way too much to live for now. You know, because not only do I have my wife and my family, but I have this. You know what I'm saying? I have this
Yeah.
podcast. I have all the people that watch the podcast, plus I have my co-host. Like you don't want to jeopardize. Nobody ever wants to jeopardize that. But
Yeah.
I think it takes a strong person to see that, hey, I have a problem. My life is becoming unmanageable, and I need to do something about it. You know, and so I think it's a big step what you did.
Thank you.
And I will never, like you were saying earlier, how you felt like that people did not pay attention or support that. Like I will never get in the way of somebody's sobriety. You know, um, I will never laugh in your face because you're sober. Because it's better to have somebody sober than to have them not sober, and next thing you know, that sobriety takes them away, or that not being
Mhm.
sober takes them away. So,
Yeah.
and I'm sure Jason can attest to it. Jason's
Mhm.
dealt with some things with his daughter and things of that nature, and so I'm sure he can attest to what I'm saying. Is that it's a hard thing to do, but I'm proud of you, man. I think it's awesome, and I'm glad that your son recognizes that. Because
Thank
And
that's
you.
the respect carries over from this side as well. The one thing I would love tonight, besides having a cigar after the day I had, is having a nice whiskey. But I never drink on the show
uh,
when we have somebody who's recovering because I don't want to be that guy who's just taunting right there in front of the
yeah.
camera. So
Yeah.
anytime we have somebody who's recovering, I never drink on the show in front of them.
Well,
It's a
that
respect.
it's a and really, like, for me, it's it's a bad image. It's here we and of course this show just isn't about sobriety, but it's about mental health in general. And like he said, it's a disrespect thing for me to be like, oh, here's my glass of whiskey. I'm gonna sip on it while you're talking about your sobriety. So some people that's a trigger.
I'm having a nice healthy fruit smoothie tonight.
Naked juice.
There you go.
Naked juice.
So
These things are fantastic, by the way. I don't own stock in them, but I'm going to say it anyways. These are like drinking pure liquid fruit. I mean, they are amazing. I love those things.
So you're talking about being sober. So what did you? Most people find other things to replace their sobriety. What did you find to replace your sobriety?
Oh man. Collecting an absurd amount of beard care.
All right.
I created my own beard care company to kind of help keep my mind busy on the weeks that my son was gone.
All right.
To help keep me going, and that was a big step. Now, I used to complain a lot about yard work and stuff like that, but now I guess that since I'm getting older, I find myself standing out on the front porch looking at my grass and being like, hell yeah.
It's your Hank Hill.
Yeah.
Your Hank Hill. Propane accessories. Except and then you see that blade of grass that's longer than the other, you're like, fudge sickles. Well,
yeah,
I gotta go out there and trim
actually I was actually on my front porch with Kelsey before I came in for the podcast, and I looked down and seen this little patch that was growing faster than the rest, and I'm like, man, I might have to text him and tell him to push this off for a few minutes so I can get this taken care of. That's gonna drive me crazy.
Well, Jason is the president of his HOA in his neighborhood. Don't worry, he will not come over to your yard with a ruler to make sure that it is the correct measurement.
Nope.
He won't do that.
Yeah.
But so that's pretty awesome that because a lot of people once they get sober they need something else to do, so they're like, all right, I gotta replace my my alcoholism or my drug addiction with something. And so taking care of your yard, that's pretty awesome. And of course, like you said, collecting an obscene amount of beard products.
Yeah, I'm sure Kelsey's tired of seeing the packages come in the mail at this point. Especially now that I can't use as much.
So now you'll save a little bit of money, because you won't be putting as much into your beard.
Man, you would think, but I still see these ads coming across, and I'm like, man, that sounds pretty good.
Well, speaking of ads, you can go to LuckyBoyBeardCo.com and you can use the coupon code SHAPE20 and save 20% off. But they are having a 25% off Father's Day sale right now. So, you can always go get you some more Lucky Boy Beard Co. Product. Shameless plug. I'm not sponsored by them.
I didn't know that you guys made anything other than beard oil. The last time I checked, it was I only seen the beard oil on there, and I'm very, very happy with the performance of the oil. So I'll definitely have to I'll definitely have to check that out since he said that you got the beard lube on there.
Well, we've always had our unscented lube, which everybody else calls butter, but we like to be different. But we just added all of our scents to it. So now we have the butter and all of the scents, plus mustache wax and natural deodorant.
Jason doesn't know anything about that.
Line covered.
Yeah.
What, deodorant?
No, mustache wax.
How can you tell I stink? I'm over the phone.
So now to help you stay busy, you can go to LuckyBoyBeardCo.com and buy you some more beard product. So I happen to be in a city where my barber makes his own products. Mikey's Beard Co. Mikey Sheely.
Yeah, Mikey Sheely.
Yes, he's my barber and a good friend. So every time I go get my haircut, I pick up product, and I tell him, I was like, dude, you have to slow down because I'm making it now to where I go get my haircut like at least every month, and I'm getting out of like they were like 4 or 5 or 6 bottles at a time. Like, bro, you got and he gives me a pretty good discount because I am spending money at his barbershop. But but yeah, it's weird how I've actually, like my addiction now is collecting baseball hats and anything baseball related or anything hat related. That is my addiction now, or really, since I don't drink much, I'll still go to a liquor store and I'll buy a fancy bottle of bourbon and I'll just let it collect dust on my bourbon shelf, So I guess, yeah. But my wife wishes that I would stop buying hats because I have a lot. Like you don't see a lot of them, but I have probably over 50, 60 styles of hats.
Yeah, it's a good collection to have. Yeah. I never go anywhere without a hat.
Luckily, my Brit oil collection is not there yet, but I just got shelving, so who knows? It might grow a little bit.
Yeah, it's putting up. I will tell you one thing. Putting up shelving is a very dangerous game to play in the beard community, especially if you're buying from all these local guys, because they fill up a lot faster than you think.
Yeah. Well, I will still have some space in the drawers, but yeah, like I see these guys and I'm like, okay, they have way too much product. Like, and I use who I use because my friends happen to own the companies I use. Like, I use Lucky Boy Beard Co. Because my friends own. I'm gonna call them my friends. That they may not say that, but my friends own that company. I use Mikey's Beard Co. because my friends own that company, and all these people have supported me in my ventures. I use Big Sexy Beard Co. I use their whip because it's good stuff, and my friends happen to be a part of that company. But I'm not out here buying just to buy. It's just I can't do it, and that my wife would kill me.
Yeah, I used to try to sneak it in, but now she gets the mail.
I have the mailbox key, so I get the mail. So man, we appreciate you coming on tonight and sharing your story of sobriety. Keep it up, by the way. Because
thank you.
Sobriety is awesome. I haven't touched like anything like hardcore drugs, like cocaine, meth, anything like that, since October 11th of 2007.
Congratulations.
Yeah, I've smoked a little marijuana here and there, but like for me, I decided that I can't do that. Like I got addicted to cocaine, and I got addicted to cocaine fast. I got addicted to cocaine worse than I did when I was drinking every single day. I mean, I was spending paychecks on cocaine. So I will never forget that date. And plus I will never forget what I went through, and that's what we need to do. And anybody out there who, if you're looking at getting sober or you are sober, don't forget the past. Don't forget where you came from, because as they say, if you forget the past, you're doomed to repeat it. So don't forget how hard you had it, and now just because you have it easy, don't forget about that, because it's that's one thing that I think people forget sometimes is the hard times. We all remember the good times, but we also sometimes forget the bad times. And I think that we should all remember the bad times in our lives, because they help mold us who we are today. So
yeah, absolutely. And I mean, never forget your past, but I wouldn't spend too much time looking back.
Yeah, no, don't dwell on it so much you start digging a hole, you know, because you definitely don't want to dig that hole, and you definitely don't want to dwell on it too much, you know, but you don't want to shut the door on it, so to speak. Yeah.
Yeah, I tell Kelsey all the time if God wanted me to look back in the past, he would strap some rearview mirrors on my head. Like I don't have anything back there that's worth bringing to my future.
Yeah.
Or my present self. Like there's nothing back there. I have no reason to look back.
It brought you to where you are, and it made you become the man that you are today. So, you know, and that's all you needed. Well, man, so
Yeah.
we appreciate you coming on, brother. When's the next time? Go ahead, Jason.
Before we let him go, why don't you take the chance and give yourself a shameless plug?
Yeah, I mean, you know, you are a big care owner.
Yeah, well, I can't do a shameless plug on myself because it's you know, we kind of dialed back a lot to mostly local, and to be honest, I'd rather see everybody else succeed in this market than myself. So I'll give a shout out to, you know, Lucky Boy, Rugged Pirate. Definitely, if you haven't tried them, Nick that owns Rugged Pirate, he's just a phenomenal guy and just one of the nicest dudes you'll ever talk to. And I would like to give a shout out to Mr. DL Walker, because he has been a huge help in listening to some of my rants over the past year that I've known him, and being kind of a, you know, metaphorical shoulder to cry on whenever I'm feeling lost in my feels. Sometimes, you know, he's always been real cool with that.
It's okay to feel lost in your feels, by the way.
Yeah. I've found that the longer I go, the more I enjoy it. It's you know, it helps me realize just how good I've got it now. And you know, I got the most amazing wife that anyone could ever ask for. Our two sons are just the greatest. You know, they're 11 and 14. She came in. My stepson's 14, and yeah, it's just been awesome. And I would really like to tell everybody, like, don't ever feel like you can't talk. Like, reach out to somebody to talk about anything. Like you know, as you said, I'd rather see people get sober than lose their battle. And if anybody's ever looking for a sponsor or anything like that, like, I'm more than willing to help out as much as I can, anywhere that I can. So you know, I love sharing my story with people who are currently struggling or who have struggled and just need that extra little boost every once in a while, and like help them through whatever they're going through. And like I like to be there for those people and see them succeed.
Yeah.
And
so that's pretty awesome. I just want to get through a comment real quick that Dino put, because it did get starred. It was, the past is nothing more than the measuring stick for the future. So I think that's a pretty awesome comment, because well
said, Dino.
Yeah, I mean, it's well said. Well, sir,
definitely got to give a shout out to Tactical Santa too. Like, Dino's a pretty legit dude, man. So I love seeing him.
This is another Dino, but we did see Tactical Santa over the weekend in Gent. He was there with all his craziness.
Yeah, so that was my first chance to meet him, so that was pretty cool.
So when's your next thing? Are you going to any upcoming competitions or any events that you're doing locally?
Me?
Yeah.
Yep.
I sponsor some local events, but I have yet to be able to make it out to them. Like, I donate a lot of product and stuff like that for the events and stuff like that and all that. But the local events have always fallen on days that I just can't make it in time. And by the time that I get back to town from work or something, then it's, you know, they're already shut down and and packed out of there. So I've missed them so far. But Michael Holvey does a lot, and Thad Hardy, he comes in to and stuff, and Michael will come pick up product for their charities that they do and stuff. But I really wanted to make it out there and do some of that, but I mean, as of right now, they would have to reach out to Michael Holvey to see when the next one's going to be scheduled and where and stuff like that.
Life is hard. I get it, man. Well, we thank you coming on. Usually at the end of my podcast, I ask my guests to, if there's one thing they could say, somebody who's struggling to say it, but you've done it. You said it. Reach out, talk about it.
Yeah.
And I think that's a very important for everybody to hear right now. If you're struggling with something in your life, whether you think it's small or big or whatever, don't be afraid to talk about it. So
yeah, absolutely, because that one small thought can snowball out of control real quick.
Yeah, like you can go get a head full of hair one day and end up with a red mohawk. One small thought can spiral out of control.
It happens.
Yeah,
it just happens.
Or you could walk into a beard competition with a mustache, and next thing you know, you go shave it off.
Listen. I could have competed. I should have competed in full beard, then shaved it off, and then done Whaler.
Yeah. But you didn't know.
You should have. That would have been good.
I shaved it off like an hour before I registered. So
it did.
Nice.
It's just hair that grows back.
Yeah, it's just hair.
Exactly.
It's all about having fun and giving back, and that's what we're doing. In the breeding community, and that's what we're doing on this podcast is that we're helping people, and we're giving back to those in our community who need it. Well, thank you, Michael, for coming on, man. I'm gonna kick you back to the green room, but I'll be back with you here when the show ends. Is that cool?
All right, sounds good. Thanks a lot for having me on, guys. I love what you guys are doing.
Hey,
glad to have you. Thanks for coming.
Thanks.
Another good episode tonight. I tell you, the June and July, we have some great guests coming on the podcast, none which Jason knows. Like, Jason doesn't know the upcoming guests, except for one of our guests at the end of July. We actually met in Gent.
Yep.
But
I'm looking forward to talking to her some more.
Yeah, so coming up in 2 weeks, I'm going to have a good friend of mine. His name is Doug Scott. Doug is sober. He has helped with a lot of recovery centers and also like sobriety houses, things of that nature. So he's going to come on and share his story. And then in July, I have the Logan Peterson. He is from what is it? Not Captain John's, but something John Beard Care. All right,
Copper John's.
Yes, Copper John's Beard Care. He also has the Bearded Dad bod, like TikTok and all that stuff. He's going to come on and talk about his story. And then at the end of July, we are going to have an awesome lady that we met and Jen come on, and she's going to share her story. But yeah, so tune in next couple months. It's going to be rocking. And then, of course, in August, yes, Copper John's and Dad Bots podcast, Logan Peterson. That's who it is there, Dino. And then, of course, August will be the second anniversary of the podcast. So I can't believe it's been 2 years. And it's been a short, half a year for you. So
yeah, just over thereabouts. Yeah, half a year, January. Yep.
But yeah, it's been 2 years almost since I've kept this going, and I am surprised. I'm not gonna lie, but we appreciate you guys coming on and watching us every other week. I would like more people to go subscribe to our YouTube channel. That's really where we do most of our broadcasting now, is on the YouTube channel. So if you can, go look up Shape the Podcast on YouTube. Our handle is Shape the Podcast for You. That's 4 and then the letter U. I only have 45 subscribers. I want more. So go to our podcast page on YouTube and give it a like and a follow, because you can also watch past episodes, and they go all the way up till last August, because that's when I created the YouTube channel. But anyways, man, Jason, is there anything you want to say before we end the show tonight?
No, I'm happy I got to meet Michael for the first time, and I want to thank him for sharing his story. And a lot of times it's difficult for people, so I'm proud of everybody that's able to do it, and I'm glad I'm able to be here to be a part of it.
Well, awesome. I am glad that you're here. I'm glad that we met, a little bit over a year ago. That I think that has helped me in my life, and I hope that it's helped you in yours. So, but yes, those of you like we've said numerous times, if you're struggling, please reach out and talk. You can message me, Jason, the podcast page. You can message Michael Sikes. I'm sure he'll be able to listen to you, and I know he will. But yeah, just reach out, because it's better to have you 6 feet above than it is 6 feet below. So we'll see you in 2 weeks, everybody. Have a great night.